Hello and welcome to a very, very, very special bonus episode. It's what I'm trying out. I've got Alfie Brown here, big football fan of Liverpool Football Club. I'm a big football fan and I'm trying to get into the market of chatting shite about football as it gets clicks, it gets views, and it's fun for all the family. So we're just going to crack into it by discussing just general thoughts on the season ahead. And, you know, if it does work, if it is pleasurable for you to listen to, maybe you can grow into more. This is very much just seeing if there is a future for either of us in the world of inane football chat. Welcome to the show, Alfie Brown.
Thank you so much. I'm absolutely delighted to be a part of this experiment. Mm-hmm. This and no more feral do boys ever get than in the realm of football. So,
yes, so it does still overall work brand-wise. Yes, although I think in terms of what Boys Gone Wild usually is, which is a kind of a comment piece on the nature of boys when they go wild, what we will be doing is being boys going wild in quite a typical way, rather than meeting judgment upon those boys that watch football and often go wild. Yes, it's not. We're not commenting. We're not theorists of Boys Gone Wild. We're merely Boys Gone Wild. Full stop.
We're not David Goldblatt and one of his good social commentary mixed with football books.
Yes, we're not Louis Theroux. We're who Louis Theroux interviews.
Yeah, that pastor. I'll be the pastor and you can be one of the prostitutes. Sex workers.
Yeah, thank you. Sex work is real work. Okay?
It's hard work.
Sex work
who you're working with
is real work. I don't care what you pigs think. Sex work is real work. But yes, this might even be a spin-off series like Joey, that thing. So as opposed to being Boys Gone Wild, this might be like a Football Gone Wild. Who knows? But anyway, should we kick it off?
Football Gone Wild is good.
Maybe. Foot Boys Gone Wild.
That's so much worse.
so
much worse.
Should we kick it off? Because I've never seen Match of the Day open with 3 minutes of talk about non-football related stuff.
I know, but I've heard podcasts open with like that.
So should we keep going?
No, we've done it. I'm just saying you don't need to feel badly about what's happened.
Yeah.
I also don't think
I'm actually excited to get into it, and it's like, saving your pudding till the end, because it's like, well, I'm just excited to get into it. I don't want to start it yet. But shall we kick things off with...
Let's start unwrapping our gifts.
Let's do it. Do you want to introduce yourself as a football fan?
Hello, my name's Alfie and I'm a football fan. I'm a fan of Liverpool Football Club, owing to my family's rich history around the north of England. Mm-hmm. Liverpool, Leeds, I also come from, but don't support. I just support Liverpool.
And what's interesting is that you do actually you're not a Glory supporter, you are doing it because of family, but you clash a lot with the normal fan.
My age means that I mean, even had I no family connection to Liverpool, I still don't think I could be accurately described as a Glory supporter.
Yeah, it's true.
I mean, it was... I suppose I came to sort of football consciousness around the same time that Michael Owen broke into the first team.
Michael Owen, who has only seen 6 films.
He doesn't like them.
He really doesn't like them, which is a fascinating...
That's aspect. Another good idea for a podcast, is Michael Owen's Film Club. Where you find out which 6 films he's watched and decide what you think, as a film student, which Michael Owen's favourite film would be. And then maybe the second series can be you coming up with recommendations.
Right, for Michael Owen.
Yeah.
Or watching all films and doing what I think Michael Owen's opinion would be. So more like a simulation of Michael Owen as a cinephile.
This is one of those really funny ideas for a podcast that in practice would be unlistenable.
Like, a great idea for a podcast, which is great, is that someone watched, 2 guys watched Grown Ups 2 every week for a year.
I was trying to remember what the film they watch is.
They did it and then sometimes they'd be like, I don't know. They just, I don't feel they were trying today. Today they don't feel they were really on form. I don't know what it was. And like the final one was a big live show where everyone came.
How many did they do?
I think it was like 52. I think they did it for like every week for a year.
Okay, talk about the football.
Sorry, yes.
You're an Arsenal fan. I'm a Liverpool fan. What a mixed up pair.
Yes, one of the highest scoring fixtures in the league, Arsenal versus Liverpool.
5-5
because we're not direct rivals, so it's more like the pressure's slightly off, which can often lead to better games.
Were you very happy about your Community Shield to be champions of the community and charity, all charities?
Yes, we actually are incredibly successful in the Community Shield, having won the last 4. I think the last 6 Community Shield finals we've been in, we've won. And it doesn't mean anything, but it is still, when you're trying to galvanise a winning mentality, I think it does help. I think whenever players get together and lift something up, that is good. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
It is a pointless game in many ways.
It's a bit of fun.
It's a bit of fun, but the act of going, I'm not counting as a trophy, but it is important to win just so you can have players around going, that's a really important...
You think that's psychologically
I think that's really
that
important.
They know what it is to lift something.
Yeah. Like Arsenal didn't win a trophy for 10 years from 2005 to 2014, like 9-10 years, until we won that FA Cup. And then after that, we haven't won many, but we still consistently...
A good few FA Cups.
A fair few compared to like Tottenham or anything. And I think it's because we had that and that broke through and we won every Community Shield there, which I do think might have added to the reason why we won the FA Cups. Maybe. I thought
I would have taken more heart as an Arsenal fan from the game in the Charity Shield than I would have done the game where you beat Liverpool at the end of last season.
Yeah, it doesn't...
That one seemed a bit weird in that we scored a goal, we looked fantastic, then you scored 2 absolutely bonkers goals because the 2 best players in the world in their position decided to go temporarily into blancmange.
But we never do that as well. What's weird is that Arsenal never do that. Arsenal never get like outplayed completely and then still win.
Yeah, and then the rest of the game, it was like you just... And I do think, and I've heard this said somewhere else, I can't remember where, that the not having any fans in the stadium helped you in that game because it meant that you could just put everybody behind the ball, defend for the next 80-odd minutes or whatever it was.
And not have boos.
And not have people boo you.
I think that's a great point. I think also you can't really judge anything of Liverpool post-title win because, as you said, it was like the games when you got beaten by Man City, as brutal as it was like the first game for like 2 years that you weren't trying to win something.
Yeah, by hell or high water.
Yeah, it was like because like the whole of every game of the 2 seasons ago was like.
Yeah, I mean, Klopp said, which I thought was quite a kind of fun and apposite way to put it, was there's no manual on how to coach your team after you've won the league.
Yeah,
nobody's written that book yet.
That's another great idea for a podcast. I think your your bad form at the end of last season has put you in much better stead for this season.
Yes,
I do. I think if you carried on the intensity up until the end of that season, I think the crash would have come at the beginning or at some point. And I think it was a positive thing getting hammered, doing all of that, losing to Arsenal, City and stuff. I think that was good for you.
Yeah, no, I believe that as well. I think the intensity that the football was being played at, as you said, means that I think you just will take a little bit of a break from, even if you didn't ever plan to, like you just won't allow yourself to tax yourself in the same way if you know that it's won, even if it's just that 0.5%. And I'm very excited. I think one of the signs of the season, judging by the second 45 minutes against Chelsea the other day. Have you asked that question yet?
I haven't, because we cut that out.
Oh,
but right. So, Alfie, what do you think is the best transfer of the season?
They're
You can do honourable mentions. You get a group together and then
get a
have
group together
fun.
and then whittle it down.
Yeah.
The signing of the summer in terms of the player that I think will have the most impact this season, I think will so far be Timo Werner. I think he'll make such a... Tammy Abraham, whilst is nice and is a very long man...
He is long.
and looks like a really good kid. Timo Werner's looks like a potentially world level striker, which will just help. And I also can play off the left, so might be able to work with Tammy Abraham. I can't see that anybody who needs defensive reinforcement has really made it to the extent that they need to, apart from maybe Arsenal. But Arsenal looked a lot better defensively when they actually had somebody with a brain telling them how to defend. So Gabriel, you've got...
I think it's a great signing, and I think I still am a bit baffled by the fact that we have got a great defender, it seems, and we've got a potentially great defender in Saliba, though he is very, very young. But he's a
tiny little kid, but he's not
going to be. He's not yet. Maybe but that could be a centre pairing. That could be a centre back partnership for a long time if they come good, because it's 22 years old and 18. But I still think it's kind of baffling. Even when we bought Pepe for 72 million, which was wrong in many levels, why the fuck would we not spend 72 million on defence or like plugging those holes? Like, it seems like I'm willing to just spend loads of money just to get a good defence at all costs.
Is Lacazette staying?
It's unclear.
And Aubameyang can't carry on forever.
No.
So it does seem like it was necessary. And also, even if Lacazette doesn't stay, he's still 29, isn't he, or something like that. So there needs to be... I think Martinelli and Saka look like...
We got all Nketiah. All of the young people coming through, that they're very forward. Even Willock is like quite a driving midfielder. Like, it's all very attacking.
I don't think Willock will make it because he's called Willock, and that I don't think that can happen.
No,
can it? No, Willock. No, it doesn't sound right.
Willock. Willock could work. I'll tell you.
Willock sounds like onomatopoeic for hitting the ball hard with your foot.
That's exactly what I think. That's exactly what I was going to say.
Willock. It's anyway. Saka, Bukayo. It looks like such an intelligent and graceful footballer. And grace always seems to be one of these things that footballers develop slightly later. Like, they can have a good touch or good ideas, good pace, be good finishers. But the grace on the ball that he has, and the time, the patience, and the ability to make sensible decisions with the football.
For his age,
I mean, he just looks gorgeous. And Martinelli looks vibrant and dangerous. So, I mean, there's very exciting things, but there seems to me to be like a gap. Like, there'll be a gap before those players are finished and after Aubameyang's done.
Yes.
There will be a little bit of shit that you're just going to have to go through, where you're going to have to display patience for Arteta. Yeah. And that's something that Arsenal fans aren't great at doing, even if he does look like somebody made a real-life version of a Zara model.
Yeah, but Arsenal fans, it feels like when you see Arteta, it's like his hair, at the end of the day, he goes, it like makes sense. And it stays completely still, and he puts it on ahead of his face, and then in the morning he sits. Because he is good-looking, but almost too so. Do you know what I mean?
He's not like... He's like a computer animation of a handsome man.
Of a handsome man. Yeah, it's like an aliens trying to work out what a handsome man is. They've come up with Arteta. There's a notification saying that you're coming to do a podcast today, which is
really
is
not
handy.
Before time.
Which is handy to be reminded of. But sorry, the best transfer this season. One thing I'll say about Timo Werner is it does look like the right signing. His first two games have been pretty disappointing. But you can't judge a player from that. But from what I've seen, it looks like it's going to take he's not going to come in flying. It might take a while.
I'm trying to think about who...
Because he wasn't good in the Brighton game, and he definitely wasn't good in the Liverpool game.
Aston Villa's Ollie Watkins, good shout. They've needed some quality up front, and he absolutely tore it up in the Championship last year.
I feel you're skirting around the obvious choice because you might be accused of bias, but I do think the transfer of the season is Thiago.
It's the first time in my whole life that we've signed a world-class player at the top of his...
As opposed to built one.
The whole, I think, actually cited by Jurgen Klopp or somebody at Liverpool, or part of some marketing at some point, was we don't sign superstars, we make them.
Yes.
And now we've decided to, as well as make them, sign one,
but,
which is fantastic. I watching him play against Chelsea the other day, albeit a 10-man Chelsea, although I thought they were quite, it wasn't like we were in trouble before the guy got sent off. It just meant that they couldn't quite park the bus as they wanted to.
I do think Thiago's been fun in the summer. If he cost you 70 million, maybe not, but just for the scandalously low price, the fact that he's proven across 2 leagues.
And the fact that he gives, like, if our fullbacks are the creators, and you can sort of prepare for that by trying to take them out of the game, then by having another way to break through lines and create and through the centre of the field is so exciting.
So if as I think maybe Bayern Munich are now probably the best team in the world, but certainly just before Bayern Munich's kind of got super drived, you were the best team in the world. It is interesting how...
And then we took one of the best players as well.
Yes, it is interesting. It's interesting how bad your midfield was for the best team in the world. Not bad, obviously not bad, but it's not iconic.
Well, maybe...
incredible
from an
defense.
outsider's perspective, it didn't seem that... But I think...
It's functional, because it does a job.
It's not a sexy midfield.
Yes. But also, it's like all those players are great, partly because they work with the tactics, and you have 3 incredible front 3 that's works incredibly well, incredibly balanced. 3 of your back 4 are team of the season, I think maybe 2 years running, and arguably you could easily make an argument that those Andy Robertson, Trent Alexander-Arnold, and Van Dijk would be in the world's best team, which is kind of wild. And Alisson, you could argue, which is crazy. And then the midfield, Henderson, Wijnaldum, Fabinho, they were very functional, but it's not.
I think you could make an argument.
Greatest teams in the world at any point, they'd nearly always have a sexy midfield, which is why Thiago is probably the signing of the summer, because it's what do you do with a perfect team, and you've added the thing that
how can you possibly improve that 11? I think it's probably one of the problems that like Liverpool had going into the transfer window. They go, well, how do you make the team better?
If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
We literally just got 97 points, 99 points, and won the Champions League in one of those seasons, and only didn't win the Champions League because Alisson was injured for that.
But then you do need to because no matter how good that team is or how successful that team is, everyone will be going into it thinking, how do we beat this Liverpool team who have done this style? So you do need to adapt to keep on winning.
Yeah, and it just gives something new, a new dimension to the attack, and it will add a new way of playing and a new way of attacking, and it will make us really hard. If it wasn't already hard to play against Liverpool and make a plan for how to win, then it's going to be really, really fucking hard if you add Thiago into that and everything that he gives to a team. It's not the creativity. I mean, obviously he's a very creative and gifted passer of the ball, but it's the speed at which he makes the decision to make the pass. He gets the ball and boom, it's gone. And before anybody in the opposing side has had a chance to set themselves, it's already gone. So cool.
What I like about Thiago is that he's like a bridge between the old and new midfield, which is like when I was certainly growing up in football, the dominant midfield was Xavi and Iniesta. That was the model of what a midfielder was, which is like technique above all else. And it's like unbelievable passing and vision and just kind of pass a team to death. And then basically from when Barca got spanked by Bayern Munich and Germany won the World Cup was when the Spanish way of midfield sort of died, and the new midfielder sort of came in, who's basically embodied by De Bruyne, which is the combination of physical and technical. Thiago is like half and half because he has that speed and that quickness at that kind of like De Bruyne does, where he just like it violently whips a ball in. It's not like Ozil where it like delicately finds that perfect pass. It's like has loads of urgency and forward, but also grew up with Xavi and Iniesta, so has a part of that in him as well.
Yes, just the very patient recycling. Of possession,
yeah, recycle. So I find that's what I find interesting. Is he was like kind of like I knew about him at Barcelona. I knew he was good, but there's so many midfielders there who kind of got brushed aside because the two arguably greatest midfielders of all time were ahead of them. So Thiago was one of them, and he only really came to fore when he had chance to show himself outside of them.
Did you?
Because like Xavi and Iniesta also covered up Fabregas,
Yeah.
because they're just so good, and that's like Fabregas didn't even make the Spain team a lot of the time because it was just so good, that midfield.
And only ever really as a false nine. Do you remember that when he played as a false
Yeah,
nine?
that was the height of that style of football. That was that was when it became a joke. That was the
peak
end
of
point.
tiki-taka.
That was the peak of it, which is when they stopped even having a striker.
Yeah.
Um,
Have you read Zonal Marking, the Michael Cox book? It's really, really good, and it does that very well. Basically charts the movement and fashions of football tactics with the focus being a nation's influence. So early 90s, you've got Dutch football,
Yes.
and how Dutch football came to be in its peak, kind of culminating in
Yeah.
Ajax lifting the Champions League.
Yeah.
Then you've got French football with them winning the World Cup and Euros. Then you have like the Portuguese attritional influence with them getting to the final of the thing, and also Jose Mourinho. Then after that, you've got Spain that lasts through tiki-taka.
Is Portuguese the very tactical, play within your means, very efficient?
Yeah.
Basically, Jose Mourinho. Yeah.
Everything that he embodies.
Yeah.
Then
Which is results over style almost.
yeah, and now just being there.
Now it's just great to have him along for the
Just
ride.
great to have him on Amazon Prime.
Yeah.
Yes, Spain, Germany, and now England. That takes us up to 2020.
Do you think England are affecting the new style?
I think the book needed a final chapter.
Yes. Well, I mean, I guess
I don't know.
Liverpool won the Champions League and I guess it's our use of left back and right backs. Even though I did like during the World Cup, it was funny that the way that we became dangerous in a way. The teams were scared of us in a way that I haven't seen them scared of England at an international tournament during my whole life, was just because of our corner tactic, which was funny how effective it was, where we finally accepted we're not going to outplay a lot of teams technically, so we're going to use our skill of growing people with extraordinarily big heads and have them wait at the edge of the box and then fire a ball in and just had them all run as fast as possible to try and head it in. And it was funny how effective that was for like 4
That's
or 5
so
periods.
depressing.
Yeah, just
I mean-
like Harry Maguire, John Stones, Kyle Walker, just these. We're like, we need to play to our strengths. We're on an island with almost like island giganticism.
Also, like, we're against Colombia, which is like, or fucking Croatia. They've only been a fucking country for 27 years or whatever. And now we're
We
going,
are
we've
like
got to...
we're the oldest football team in the world.
I don't understand. And also, it's not like there aren't good players. There are great players. I don't understand why. Because also, that wasn't like an amazing, we got to a World Cup semi-final. I mean, first of all, I'm very unpopular in this area because I want to abolish international football. It's all bad. Second of all, I mean, I understand the fun of like, so I've been a rival all year and now we can all have fun supporting the same team. I'm not asked about it. But there are such good players, really good footballers, technically gifted footballers. And there are loads of them that are English. And we just, why not be good? Like, you only managed to beat Colombia on penalties. What was the score? What scores were there in the group stages? England?
We beat Tunisia I think.
Yeah.
And then we won 6-0 against Panama. And then Harry Kane had the most disappointing Golden Boot World Cup win when it was like three penalties and got a hat-trick against Panama. But it is, looking at the England teams of old, we have like our 2006 team Someone I read this article, which is like for transfer value of any international team, it's like the third most expensive team ever to go into World Cup was the extraordinary man-for-man team. And it's just, there's something missing when we have just the most extraordinary team. That 2016 was just John Terry, Rio Ferdinand, Ashley Cole, Gary Neville, Steven Gerrard, Frank Lampard, David Beckham, Paul Scholes. I don't think he was in 2006, but he was still in and around. Mike Lowe and Wayne Rooney up top. It's just wall-to-wall extraordinary talent.
Well, we're about to create something like that again, albeit we don't have a decent... England don't have a decent keeper. But they do have what feel like, approaching world-class talents.
Sancho, Sterling, Kane, maybe Rashford.
Rashford, Greenwood.
We'll just have to see.
Foden. Saka. All of those. Yeah, all of them. All of them. Trent Alexander-Arnold.
Best right back in the world, maybe.
Joseph Gomez. I mean, it should be looking to win tournaments, shouldn't it? That
we've got to. But there's something that no managers seem to properly worked out. But anyway, we were meant to be talking about the Premier League.
We digressed though.
We did digress.
Thus was the
point.
Well, the energy and the lust in the conversation that we got distracted from transfer.
For the best transfer of the season.
But anyway, it's Thiago.
What do you think the top 6 are going to be? And why?
The order of it.
Yes.
Because obviously we know which teams it's going to be.
Well, not obviously. Arsenal came 8th, or do you think it's going to come back to a bit normality this season? Because last season,
Arsenal are going to improve. United are going to improve. They're all going to improve.
Yeah.
They're all... Jose Mourinho's having his second season uptick that he'll enjoy before he sets the place on fire next season.
Yes.
Mikel Arteta is in the sweet spot of having good young players and also Aubameyang still alive.
Yes.
And also he's made them look so much better. It's amazing what a competent manager will do for you.
Yes.
Ole Gunnar Solskjaer.
Ole Gunnar Solskjaer.
Our grandma's billionaire. He will... They'll improve because they've just got loads of really brilliant players. And
they sorted the midfield out with a key signing with Fernandes.
And Donny van der Beek.
Yep.
And Chelsea have signed everyone, I think.
Yeah, Chelsea have had the best transfer window. They haven't done the transfer seats.
Well, I don't know if they have. I mean, we'll find out. Like, there's every chance that they've spent loads of money a week on Thiago Silva, who it turns out is way too slow for the Premier League.
Maybe not financially, they might not have the best, but I think for reinforcements, I think they've probably done the best.
I can't see Havertz and Werner not doing well.
That's what I mean.
But I could see Ziyech, Thiago Silva, and Ben Chilwell all
flopping,
underwhelming.
Yes,
not flopping necessarily, but just not having the best time ever. So, and also, I don't really rate Frank Lampard as a manager. I don't really rate Frank Lampard as a manager. I don't. In a Premier League setting, he seems too irascible, too easily got at, and tactically a bit naive. But we'll see where he gets to in time.
Okay, yeah.
People can prove people wrong, and he's still young.
What do you think of the top 6?
Oh yeah, then? Sorry. I never ever say I think it's Liverpool are going to win the league.
Just for safety.
Well, I feel like if I say it's City will win the league and then Liverpool, then no matter what happens, nobody's going to go, ah. But actually, it doesn't really matter. It just never ever happens that... I remember during the 2013-14 season, my friend said to me during the title run-in, Liverpool are obviously top at this point. He said the sad thing is that the universe just doesn't allow things as perfect and beautiful as Liverpool winning the league to happen.
Yeah.
And I sort of feel like at a point, United, Chelsea, City, they have to spend enough money. Like, football is too boring for Liverpool to win the league again. But then I have this biased mentality that they're this pure entity that have managed to subvert the power of these financially doped behemoths.
Yeah.
And Man United aren't financially doped, to be fair.
The big underdog, the biggest, one of the biggest clubs in English football.
Yeah, but not having spent the same amount as
Yes.
everybody else to get where they are.
Though you did have a hilarious period of some wild transfers. You had like some, because you did pay a lot of money for some very. Do you remember the Stuart Downing, Andy Carroll, Ricky Lambert, Danny Ings? Didn't, though he's
Danny
good
Ings is a
now.
great signing.
He's great.
He just couldn't get inside when we.
But there's some incredible, like you signed like not necessarily bad, but just like fine. So many fine players, just fine.
I remember the very discombobulating feeling as a Liverpool fan to suddenly realise, I want Paul Konchesky to do well now, do I?
Yeah.
Paul Konchesky plays for Liverpool.
Yeah.
Can you imagine? I don't have to.
Top 6.
I think it'll
Starting
be
from the 6th.
starting from the 6th. Tottenham.
Mm-hmm.
Chelsea.
Okay.
Arsenal.
Yeah.
United. City. Liverpool.
Yeah. I think that's a pretty fair one. I would say my top 6 is Tottenham, United, Arsenal, Chelsea. It looks like it's going to be Liverpool, but I just don't think it will. Liverpool City. Because as you said, even from the first 2 games, it looks like Liverpool I just can't see it happening again.
No, neither can I really, but I wanted to back myself.
And I do think it's biased that I'm saying Arsenal 4th. If I wasn't an Arsenal fan, I probably would say 5th.
I just figured that I think they look really good, and I think they can squeeze 4th. I do. My prediction will be that I think Liverpool, City, and another team, whoever it is, will all get around 85 points, and one of them will win the league. Obviously, one of them will win the league. But I think there'll be 3 teams competing in the late 80s.
And then, actually, a good question: who's going to get that prized 7th spot? Because that's like a spot in itself, which is like the glass ceiling of the teams below that wealth bracket. It's Everton, Leicester, or
I think it's Everton.
Everton. They do look great. All agreed. Bottom 3.
West Brom.
Okay. Yeah.
Who I think are. They look fairly like the championship quality players, and I think Slaven Bilic might be a championship quality manager. I'm just not sure how. I think the things that he's good at probably work a lot better in the championship than they do in the Premier League. There's things like he's missing. I don't know what. It's completely unfair, so I'm just guessing. I don't want to pick Fulham because I like Fulham.
I like Fulham too, and Scott Parker is the one reminder of as much trouble as England's had over the last 5 years. He's the one thing that makes me proud to be English. Is Scott Parker, who embodies everything good about this country.
Yes, England for the English. That's what
he is truly the ideal Englishman.
He really is an embodiment about every kind of good quality.
Everything good that this island can make.
Quintessentially.
Yeah.
Well, London really.
Well, it's because he's sharp. He's got a sharp suit. He looks good, but he has an authenticity, and he's got that squeaky Cockney voice that's kind of irrepressibly sexy in the way that
He seems like the sort of person that's kind of recently discovered mental health and now can't stop talking about it.
Oh.
I think the third football club I'll plump for to go down, despite the fact that they've signed one of my signings of the season, Ollie Watkins, will be Aston Villa, because I think they're shit.
I agree with
that. Then Jack Grealish will go somewhere for about £50 million, because I imagine that he hasn't signed that new deal without putting in a relegation release clause.
I agree with West Brom. I think they'll go down. I agree with Fulham. I don't think Aston Villa will go down. I think teams like Aston Villa and West Ham no matter how bad they are, they have such, the history means they're much harder to go down. Even when they're, so like West Ham
go down all the time.
Not all the time. So like they really don't.
West Ham and Newcastle are always.
So Newcastle, there's something rotten in the state of Newcastle. You know, West Ham. My dad's a West Ham fan, so like the relationships of our families do revolve around West Ham doing well. So it's very clear when they get relegated.
Okay.
So I do actually have a lot of. I do remember every time West Ham get relegated. It's not that often, considering how close they often come compared to teams that get, you know, relegated. West Ham and Aston Villa, you know, they just have that history that means they do stay up for longer than you remember them getting relegated because it's always a thing when they get relegated. If you forget how many teams constantly get relegated anyway. Like
I used to think about Coventry. Coventry were just a Premier League mainstay. There was no way they could ever get. And this is like around the time you were being born, they would have got relegated, and it was such a big fuss about it.
Funny you say that. When I was being born, my dad got awfully bored during the pregnancy because it kept going on for so long, and was very nervous because West Ham were playing Coventry.
Right.
And he remembers that I was born just as John Hartson, who's the one with the dent in his head, scored a goal that meant they won 2-1. And he always says it was. He always likes to make that little joke that it was the best day of his life. And then, of course, pulls it back.
Very droll.
Good fun.
But you've
very droll.
You've got your own back now by betraying him and becoming an Arsenal fan.
I didn't choose this for me. He chose this for me. We were living in Highbury at the time when I was born, and we were right by the ground. And as a West Ham fan, he felt so much pain as a West Ham fan. He said, I think I'm going to raise him as a local Arsenal fan, because so he can. This is around the time of the Invincibles, so he can have like a joyful footballing experience and not go through the stress as I have. Little do you know that I'd argue that there's arguably been more heartache being an Arsenal fan than being a West Ham fan, because West Ham, there's a nobility to the failure of West Ham. If you say I'm a West Ham fan and they've gone down, we all accept their shit, and it's like, how authentic of you to be a West Ham fan.
Yeah,
as an Arsenal fan, if we don't make top four,
there's Arsenal fan TV.
It's Arsenal fan TV. We're just a laughing stock. You know, it's been a lot more painful, I think. You know, seeing Robin van Persie win the league for United, things like that, I just don't think they happen on the same level as a West Ham fan. So once again, I think that was a poor decision by my father. But I am now tied to them forever, and I love them dearly, very, very deeply. Even though I'm not I don't look like a classic Arsenal fan, like you're not a classic Liverpool fan, because I'm not Malaysian.
Who said that?
No, I'm just... What?
I thought that was a thing that somebody said once.
No, it's funny because Arsenal have really... Because we're like... We represent... With the Emirates, we sort of represent New London in the sense like full-blown capitalism, with like our stadiums like gentrified. We do more social media than any other club, and we've worked very hard on our international presence. So you'll see, if you go to pre-season tours in Malaysia, you'll see
and that's where most of the Arsenal fans
that's
actually
probably
are.
For like numbers. It will be in Southeast Asia is where you'll find the most Arsenal fans.
Very good.
So here's a question I want to ask about you as a Liverpool fan. Firstly, a quick one. If you had to lose one player, Mane or Salah, who would it be?
I think
one player's going to go this window.
Yeah, I know. I just don't like it. I think I'd choose Salah. I think from a personal perspective, because of what Mane means to me as a human being. Well, that's a ridiculous thing to say, because Salah just keeps on breaking records, scoring goals, proving people wrong. There's 98 people marking him every single game, and yet still he manages to kind of find space, create goals, but then so does... Oh, God. Salah, for personal reasons.
That you're not going to divulge?
I don't want to talk about it.
That's a great answer to like a football question. Personal reasons that I don't want to discuss. Yes, Alfie Brown's going to come do the podcast today. He says, do not ask him about Mane or Salah. That's the one topic. And finally, we'll end it with the last question.
Will we?
Yes.
Okay.
Because
End it with the what?
With the last question.
Okay.
What does it feel like embarking on the first season as a champion?
Do you know the end of The Matrix where...
I haven't actually seen The Matrix, funny enough.
As a film student, you've not seen
studied
The Matrix?
it though.
You've studied it,
and I know more about it than people who've seen it, but
Right.
I haven't actually seen it.
Well, you might know the scene that I'm referring to when I speak about this. At the end of the film, Neo is finally quite confident in the idea that he's the one.
Okay.
And he can see everything in code as green numbers trickle down, and therefore he can control the whole world because he can see the code the world is written in. I feel as a Liverpool fan like I can finally see the code, and you can't hurt me anymore, because no matter what happens now, I've had what I thought would never happen. So there is a sense of hunger to see this happen again, but also I don't feel like I feel like things would have to go absolutely insane for me to become disappointed, because I genuinely thought it would never happen. And I think this is why I either wouldn't make a successful footballer or / won't be a successful person, is that I'm quite happy now. So oh, great, won the league. Well, that's that.
Yeah.
That's finished. Whereas if you ask Sadio Mane how he feels about having won the league, he goes, I don't remember winning the league. I have to win another one.
It's like you wouldn't be a good kind of CEO of a Amazon or company, because if you're Jeff Bezos, you would be like, you would still be selling books and be more than happy.
Right, you go, we've just made $1 million. We can take a foot
That's
off the gas
great.
a bit
That's
now.
lovely. Yeah. You'd be, if Netflix, you'd still be sending out DVDs.
Well, I'd still be called Love Film.
It'd still be called Love Film. Yeah. And that's why. Yeah. I mean, that is fair. It does. I do feel, in general, what is lucky about Liverpool, you're in quite a unique position now, is that in the top six, in the general banter and rivalry, you always have a foot to stand on, an argument of like, well, you're this and that. If Chelsea win, they either won ugly or won because of evil Russian money. Easy. United, you can fuck United. Everyone fucking hates United. Fuck United. Arsenal, it writes itself. Tottenham don't win anything. City, Arab oil money. But Liverpool, the way you won that league and what it meant for that city and the history does mean that you're in a... Before, I would see memes about you constantly making the Europa League and like your shitty signings and stuff like that. But you really are in a quite unique position where you've not only won the league, but there's not really much for comeback from any other team. You're in that privileged position where it's like you've won it with no asterisks. There's no,
Well, apart from the asterisks that everybody tried to put on it because the fans weren't in. Yeah, no, it's. I think it's a really exciting season given what's about to happen, because it's just quite unpredictable.
Yeah.
I mean, Liverpool feels like such a kind of a feat of will and effort above everything, and the crowd, and 26 wins out of 27 after 27 games played last season. It's otherworldly, kind of like bizarre stuff. So how hard is it going to be to replicate that, and what did we owe it to? And we'll soon find out. And have, like, I don't know if you watched Wolves City the other night, but Wolves could have had, there was so many openings for them to capitalise. So it's not like City have made a big statement in that game, but also who knows what the fuck is going to happen after the first game.
Great.
How many seasons do you reckon you'd give Arteta of not qualifying for the top four before you started to get all Wenger out about it?
He cannot qualify this season if it happens again. He'd have to have success in other means, i.e. winning trophies, and depending on the manner in which we didn't catch the top four. Because if we didn't manage to catch the top four, but it's so clear he's building for the future, then keep him. But if it's like sort of Emery where it feels pointless and like we're directionless, then he's got to go out, and you've kind of got to do that. What I think I've realised about football over the last 5 years is growing up having my first memory of an Arsenal game being when Sol Campbell headed in the first goal in the Champions League final, being the zenith of Arsenal Football Club. Arguably one of the top points was when it looked like we were going to win the Champions League. That's my first memory, and it has been dramatically downhill from that crystal clear first memory of Sol Campbell heading in the first goal. After that trophy drought and trying to kid myself that, well, Arsene Wenger's consistently managed to be in the top four more than any other manager, and all of those kind of arguments that Arsenal fans throw about, I do really now believe that football is truly about trophies, and that is what it is important for a team. And so, you know, winning those FA Cups, with the fact that we won the FA Cup and came 8th, meant that we had a better season than Tottenham, who finished higher, you know, or better season than, in some ways, than, you know, United. I think just having, after spending so long in the Champions League where we just get knocked out of the round of 16 endlessly.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you, but I don't agree that football is... First of all, football isn't just about trophies, it's about moments.
It's not just about trophies. I mean,
otherwise, what's the point in being
sorry.
late Norient fan?
Let me reconnect it. It's not all about trophies. I'm saying for when you're viewing in the top 6, the team's challenging.
Yeah.
What defines a success? It's not all about. Football's not all about success. What defines success, I think, more than anything, is trophies. And when you look back, we're not going to look back on Arsenal for our consistent top 4 in like 50 years. We won't look back on Arsenal consistently qualifying for the Champions League for like 20 years straight. We will look back on those 4 FA Cups as something of value. So I do think, my perfect season would be finishing 4th, winning the league or FA Cup and the Europa League. That would just be an absolute dream.
It's funny,
and that is really that
Chelsea fans don't really put too much weight or kind of remember too fondly their Europa League successes because they were both won by managers they hated.
Yeah.
So they've sort of had the fun of those moments taken away from them by one of them being Benitez and the other being Sarri. But I think most of what will, and this is what a lot of people said when Wenger was still in charge, that like it's not, if you Arsenal fans would prefer to sack Wenger instead of coming 4th every year, sack Wenger, then spend a couple of years coming 8th and then get 4th again. But when you got 4th again, it would feel like something different instead of just, because football's about momentum and growth. And it felt like after a time of that long with Wenger, it didn't feel like there was any momentum or growth. It felt like you were watching the dying embers of a man's career, which is fair, but also
that's partly true. But I do think. I think we just got to be focusing on trophies, and just getting in the Champions League and getting knocked out super early and not contending. I've done that enough. There needs to be that dream for actually challenging for things, and start to the FA Cups and League Cups and Europa Leagues, and then you move up. What I can't stand Chelsea in many ways. They're obviously a rival, and they're obviously the fact that being bought by Russian oil. But the one thing I respect about them, the one thing I really have always respected about Chelsea, is that no matter how cunty their players are, no matter how valueless often their club can be, no matter how their fans are often either fake or authentic and racist, that seems to be often the two camps. They either live in Surrey and have never been to Chelsea and are there and nice, normal people, or they're authentic, true Chelsea fans and they throw bananas on the pitch. It's like,
there's no happy medium.
There's no happy medium.
People found out, Chelsea are quite good, and we're sort of near the training ground.
Yeah.
2005. Yeah, I know what you mean.
And then the people who are like the good fans are bad people. Having said that, I've always respected their focus on trophies, and even through tumultuous times of doing badly, they've always managed to win stuff. Yes. And that's what I'm starting to realise. I love Wenger. I love the style of play, and some of the goals that were created through his style were incredible and amazing to watch and so exciting. But trophies for a top 6 team is what should be aimed at. And looking at Tottenham fans, seeing some like Tottenham fan TV after Arsenal won the FA Cup, they were literally like saying, which I think is right, that they would probably rather win their League Cup than qualify for the Champions League, which as a Tottenham fan I would as well. Just have one trophy of this period. If they finish this period with nothing to show for it, it will evaporate in 50 years. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You need markers you need to be able to put up around your ground. 2016 we won this. They've had incredible teams, much better than Arsenal for the last 5 years, but because they're choking, they got to the Champions League final and they've had some incredible players. But if they need, even a League Cup would be more important for Tottenham historically than if they finished really low in the league and didn't do well anywhere. If they just have something to show for it, I think.
Yeah, I kind of agree, but also think like the semi-final victory over Ajax is worth more than a League Cup, because the people will remember that will live longer in the memory. That will, as a moment that people look back on and just felt utter bliss and joy and
that is a good point as well.
Frenzied, like one of my favourite moments as a Liverpool fan ever was in the Europa League quarter final. I think
the Bristol Dortmund game
when Dejan Lovren smashed it in with his head, and I mean there was beer on the ceiling. Me and my brother took our tops off and rubbed chests together. Just crazed madness everywhere. And I would rather us have won that game like that and me had that moment and not won the Europa League than us having like dragged through boring 1-0s and won the whole thing.
I think it's a balance thing. I'm
sure there's a balance thing.
Maybe saying it fully, but it's certainly something I've realised that is more of a focus for me as a fan now. But as you say, one of my best memories of it as an Arsenal fan was when we beat Reading 7-5 in one of the most extraordinary games of football. In the League Cup, it was League Cup, round of 32. We got knocked out in the next round, but we were 4-0 down at half time and 4-0 down. Yeah. And it was during one of the many dark patches of Wenger where it was just the feeling was such a smog. 4-0 down at half time, just the bleakness. And then just for half time, Walcott scored a goal, 4-1. And then we managed to claw it back to 4-4, pushing it to extra time. And then we scored the 5th. And then they scored a 5th. And it was 5-5. And then in the last 5 minutes of extra time, Shamak got 2 goals. Shamak.
Mr. Loverman.
Exactly. With extraordinary hair where it looks like someone had pulled a gazebo. You know when a big chunk of water falls on you at once? You know when you it's been wet and you pull it down and it's not rain, it's like a whole thick chunk of water and that's just landed on his head. And he's like, I'm ready to start the day.
Wow, yeah, what imagination.
We could talk about football for literally hours with ease. One of the great joys about discussion or football content and stuff is that it is endless because there's endless things to talk about.
The football is going on forever.
It's just forever. There's never not things to talk about.
I've decided to lean forward so I look bigger in the shot.
Have you just decided now, or has that been for the whole podcast?
I'm for the last 5 minutes. I wasn't really listening until you said. That's why I laughed so hard at the word gazebo, because I didn't hear anything that preceded it. So I was just laughing. I wonder what he's talking about. Gazebo. No, I heard exactly what he was talking about. It was very good. Funny stuff.
That is the end of the first football show.
Football Gone Wild.
Football Gone Wild with Horatio Gould and very special guest Alfie Brown. Thank you for coming. I don't know when I'll do this again, but like and subscribe and check out Alfie's Twitch.
And other stuff. And check anything out.
And watch this space. Thank you. See you sometime.